G'day everyone, how you going? Ian here again from down in Ausland. Welcome to video 2 in a series of, I don't really know how many. We're back on the moon again, and today I'll try and make this video a bit shorter. The last one was a bit longer, but I'll try and make this one a bit shorter. There's a couple of things I want to point out though before I start. Remember that if there's nothing on the moon, then basically you shouldn't see anything at all, apart from the lunar modules, the lander modules that were left over when we've been to the moon and left. So you got to remember that sometimes you look at things and you see some funny looking stuff, but if it doesn't belong there, well, what's the right way to say it? If it's there and it shouldn't be there, well, then you've got to ask a question: what is it? Today we're just going to have a look around this area here. We'll see, most people can find this on their own Google Earth, and that's what we're using here tonight. We're going to use a couple of things. We're going to use Google Earth, and I also want to show you something on LROC, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter camera. So first off, we're going to start around this area here. Now, you might remember in my last film I mentioned that we have a couple of different overlays that we can put on here, and one is an older one and one is a newer one. So tonight we're going to use a newer one. Now, if I zoom out from here, you're all probably used to seeing this, a higher definition strip across the moon that they've put here. So we've got this big area here, and then we're going to go down to the bottom in this area here. So and this is on the newer film. This is on the normal global maps. Now, I want to scoot into here and again point out that we're going to be working around these 4 marks that are on the moon's surface. So you can find those yourself and have a look for yourself as well. But with the more modern stuff, we're now going to check out a couple of things here. Now, the first one I've got listed here is, don't worry about my labels. Some of them are a bit weird, but we've got a couple of pictures here. If you zoom in a bit further, and you'll start to see things on the surface. Now, again, as I mentioned before, if it's not something to do with the Apollo missions, it shouldn't be there. So, but in this case here, we've got what look like buildings. We zoom in a bit closer. I'll just square that up. And we have our marker down here in the bottom, which gives us our size in meters. Now, under these circumstances, here's our first building that we're going to be looking at. Now, we can see here that there's square edges on that. There's, it even looks like a light there, and there's something around the edges of it as well. How big is it? About 150 metres. We can see there on that one. Again, but you see that these are squares. If it's a crater, it would be round or some other shape. But there's our building number 1 there. We'll come over here, and there's another one over on this side. And again, we zoom into that. Looks a bit like a face looking at you with a couple of eyes, but that certainly looks like a light in the middle there. And again, if we bring that over to our measurement there, we're looking at about 100 metres on that one. So there's a couple of interesting ones to start with. So I'll zoom back out a bit. Again, we're still within that region of where those 4 marks are on the moon. I'll light up a couple of more here and see what you think. Now we go up to here. We've got what I've marked as a city number 3. Again, we zoom in, and again we see all these square shapes. To me, they just look like outright buildings that have been built on the surface, and it's hard to deny that they're there. So there's a couple to start with. That's 3 buildings that we've looked at to start with. We'll go over here, City 4, up here. Here we go. And we'll have another look at this one. Now, this one people would have seen before. This one's been shown on YouTube and websites and Facebook, and again we have this circle here. I remember rightly that used to be lights around there when people have showed it. So that one again has been seen, but again we've got a square shape in there. Oh, sorry, the mouse is still playing up. I'm going to get myself a new one. So we've still got square shapes there, and what size have we got? We've got about, again, just under 150 metres there, probably 120 metres. So again, a very interesting one. The other one I wanted to show you was down this way, and this is closer to those 4 marks. We will, here we go, multiple buildings. Here again, here's our 4 marks on the ground here on the surface of the moon. I'll come back to what they are later on maybe, but we'll zoom in on those, what I've marked as multiple buildings. Again, we come in here, these again, as I mentioned in my last video, aren't, from my opinion, artifacts from the camera. Again, you don't send a piece of equipment to the moon to take photos and get, buggered up artifacts on it. So here we look at this one. Again, we've got, is it a light or is that the moon shining on it? The shadows seem to, indicate that it's, the light's fairly well above from it. So, but again, we've got square shapes there. We move that in. That one's bigger again. So if we look at around there, probably 150 metres again, somewhere around there. Okay, so that's one of those multiple buildings that I've marked. We've got another one over here. This one's not quite so, what's the word from it, distinctive, but there's certainly squares in there that shouldn't be there. And then we've got, another one down here. And this certainly looks like a building to me. That's, again, about 150 metres from this side to that side. So there's just a few. I might even try, we'll pull a bit of an angle on that one. We'll see whether we get any measurements as far as height goes. We go to the middle of that, 28, 112 or minus 28, 112. We go over to here, minus 28.07, so 5 metres. It's showing it's 5 metres difference there. So again, there we've got some, are they our buildings? Are they something that we've built ourselves? I can't find them in the old pictures at all, but here we are. We've got them in the, in the newer overlays that are on here. Now, while we're in this area, and again, as I mentioned before, we've still got our 4 marks on the surface here. I'm going to jump out of Google Earth and I'm going to go over to LROC, and again, here's our 4 marks in the surface of the planet. So we're in the same area. Again, you can't see those on here. They've either been covered or whatever may be the case by NASA, because this is run by NASA as well. But what I want to show you here is a nice little overlay, which is your nighttime soil temperatures. Right? Now, obviously the sun shines on the moon, and if there's rock surfaces, they can gather heat, but it's not a very fast rotation of the moon, so heat should go away fairly quickly. I'll even use the normalised one, and you watch what happens when I actually I'm going to zoom back out a bit. You watch what happens when I hit this button here. Right now we have lots of heat signatures, and bingo, look at that. Now does every one of those mean that we've got a rock surface that's being warmed by the moon, by the sun? If it is, well then sort of one side should be warm and the other side should be cold more than anything. But these are quite interesting because the heat signatures that are coming out of some of these craters are pretty crazy. I can tell you that. And if I zoom out a bit further, this is the face of the moon that we see every day. That's always tidal locked to us, and this is the side that we see. But when we go in there and have a look at some of the heat signatures coming out of here, and you see some very, very hot craters, I don't think there's any volcanic action in those areas. But again, this is pretty handy to go and look for stuff. I'm going to zoom right out here and sort of you'll see what I mean. That there's quite a lot of heat signatures around. And there's some pretty major heat signatures in some pretty big craters as well. So you can understand the face of the moon gets hit with the sun as well. But if you go right down to nearly to the bottom, to the South Pole, and zoom in on that crater, check that sucker out. All right. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at heat signatures from sun hitting rocks and that. This one's got heat signatures that run right around the outside of the crater itself. So again, that makes you wonder, what's in there. Look at this little sucker over here with just 4 little blobs sitting in it. That makes you wonder as well, doesn't it? And some of these will have a little cold patch in them. Some of them are, really big hot patches. Again, we got one here, one here, one here. So I use that to, in fact, find what I'm going to look at. But there today, we've done those couple there. I'll go back to where we were. I think I will if I can find it. Now, where were we? We were about there somewhere, I believe. And again, we'll turn our heat signatures back on again. And look at that crater there. Ooh, 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 ooh. Probably the next time around I'll have a look at that one. But just for now, check that video out there. Check that heat signatures out there. Look at this one and this one over here. Wow. Now I'll go back to Google Earth because I'll try and wrap this up. I'm probably going too long already, but I wanted to show you one more, and that's what I call UFO Central. And now again, we're going to go away from the modern photography, and we'll go back to our lunar orbiter mosaic. Again, there's our 4 marks there. But we're going to go and have a check out on UFO Central. Now this is up towards the north side of the moon. And look at that, again, as I mentioned before, if there shouldn't be anything in the view at all. If there's nothing on the moon, there shouldn't be anything. But look at this. You go into this dark crater here and look what you see. There's lights, there's everything here. Look at this one over here. This one I had a look at earlier on. Now I can go to, we can pull that down on a bit of an angle there. I'll zoom around this way a bit. And what are we looking at there? Are we looking at a city that's lit up? Is that a fully lit city? What is that? I thought it might have been a UFO moving very quickly, and a bit like when we wave a light in the dark. But no, it's to me it looks like that's a well lit city sitting there. So feel free to leave some marks in the some comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of the video, and keep an eye out. My channel on YouTube is 37th Parallel, and that's where you'll find the video. And yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks, guys, and everybody have a good day. Now let me see if I can get out of this now.